Hi folks. Trailing arm, rear trailing arm on a Saturn Vue. In my case it's a 2003. I'm not too sure what years they're all the same. I'm pretty sure they're the same as long as the Saturn Vue was made. The bushings on them, I'm going to change them out and put new ones in them. This one here I already done it. Then I decided, well, I better make a video. Now the only tricks are, well, it's not really any tricks, but you can see the new bushing. Here it has these markouts. They go a certain way on the trailing arm. So when you're going to change your bushing to a new one, because the old one has gave up its life and it's just no longer stabilizing anything in the back end. Don't mind Timmy in the background. He's wanting a little bit of attention. And the bushings themselves, here's the top portion of the box. If you do a search, a Google search online, there it is there, CHAB-011. You'll come up with a bushing. So you want to make sure anyhow that these cutouts are in the right alignment with the steel part. Okay, now I'm going to show you one here that's, let me move this stuff out of the way. I wasn't even thinking about making a video, so I kind of went ahead of everything here and got it all finished. So here's the old bushing, and the idea to get them out, you can see how all I did was bang it with a hammer. Just a standard hammer, nothing fancy. And how I did it is I bent the lip that sticks out on this side, and this side here is the side that has the lip on the steel part here. You can see it's flat here, and you can see here it's got a lip. So basically this was up through this, like so. So you can see that I beveled, basically banged them, the edge that was sticking up above this steel bracket part, I banged it inward, and as I was banging it, it was basically forcing it downward, which was removing it. And then once you go all the way around in circumference, it'll just end up popping out. So you want to make sure you bend this inward towards the center. This way it doesn't get hung up on the edge here. Then after that's out, I cleaned up the surface here, and I cleaned up the surface here, and I'll tell you why I cleaned up this portion of the surface. Wasn't necessary to clean up this portion of the surface, but being that I cleaned up this portion of the surface, and this bearing here is going to go down inside of it in a certain way, like I say, with these cutouts here, these notches, and in this case here, that's about the right where it's going to go, right about there. So they just simply bang in with a hammer again. But what you want to do for sure is, you can see that this is all flat here. So you want to have something that's big enough. In my case, I'm using this great big, it's actually a generator end. Just a great big cast iron generator end. And it's nice because it's very heavy and very strong, and it has a nice hole in it. So it gives a nice surface for putting this flat surface on. And then I can actually pound that bearing in. I don't have a press. If I had a press, it would make the job a lot easier, but I don't have a press. So I'm still able to do the job, just in a different way. And that's my way of doing it. If you don't use something like this piece down here, and you try and just bang it in, resting this over an edge of something, you're going to end up bending this arm, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep this arm nice and straight. And another thing to keep in mind is that when it's going in, there's a certain depth which you're going to want to measure the old one. And when I mean the depth, it goes in a depth, and you can see this one here, how it's up above the steel arm itself, and that's the depth I'm talking about. So you want to keep all that in order. So this way the measurements are all the same. You see this little lip here? That's what I mean right there. You want to make sure that that's correct. This way it fits back on the vehicle, nice. And what I'm going to do, just for double security, probably don't have to because they never were from the factory, but I'm going to just give it a couple little tack welds. A little tack weld here, just a little one. And a little one over back over here and say here. 4 spots, just basically touching it with an arc to give it a little wee bit of a weld, just to make sure it's going to stay in place. And the reason is because I cleaned this surface here, so I removed a little bit of metal. So basically I made this opening a little bit bigger. So I want to make sure that that's going to stay in there, and that removal of that little bit of metal, since I opened it up a little bit, I want to make sure that this bearing is going to stay in place. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to give it a couple little tack welds, just tiny little welds, just enough to give me a double security that it's going to be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pound this bushing in, and I'll come back with you here. I don't have a tripod set up, so I pretty much need to close down the camera, shut it off, and come back with you as I'm pounding this bushing in. Oh, before I forget, it's nice to have something as you're pounding it in. It's nice not to pound on the edge of this, just in case you bend it or something. So put something on top of that. In my case, it's going to be a ring here. So I'm going to pound on top of this ring. This way I'm not hitting the surface of the bushing itself, and going to give it the opportunity to bend. You can get the idea. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this bushing in, and I'll come back with you and show you the end result. Okay, both bushings are in place. Ready to give my little tack welds. Online, you can get the bushings. Like I say, here's the number. That's the one you want. And these ones here, I believe, were $25 a piece, which is really, really cheap. If you look, for this arm itself, new, with a new bushing in it, I believe is over $400. So considering that both of them together, shipped out with taxes, is more than likely close to $1,000. And I have basically 2 new ones here, minus the shiny paint, for say $60. Not bad. I mean, whether you have brand new ones or whether you just replace the bushing, it's the same amount of work that's involved. You need to remove them and reinstall them. So now the process is going to be going to install them. So that'll be another video. So till that video comes, keep your eyes peeled for that video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you have not, and thank you very much for those that have.